Hello, everyone. My name is Elite Trainer Kenway. Hey, how did you know I was going to say that? That's whatever. My name is Elite Trainer Kenway, and it's no secret that I've had something of a love-hate relationship with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet since its release in 2022. Last year, I reviewed the base games of Scarlet and Violet when I made it clear that I wasn't at all impressed with what was supposed to be the next generation of Pokemon. Then, when the Teal Mask came out, I reviewed that as well, and it gave me much more optimism in Game Freak and what Gen 9 could offer. Now, with the Indigo Disk having been released just a couple of days ago, I wanted to take a moment to share my first thoughts. I want to preface this review by pointing out that I have not completed the story. I will do a full review next Saturday, most likely after I've beaten the Elite Four and met Terrapagos. So we're not going to discuss any story spoilers in this video, and I would urge you not to mention any story spoilers in the comment section. However, we are going to talk about the new Pokemon at the end of the video, so I will throw up a spoiler banner when we get into that. So without any further ado, let's talk about my first impressions of the Indigo Disk. As I said a moment ago, I'm not going to discuss any story elements today, and that's because I haven't actually started the story yet. All I've done so far is talk to Clavel and Serrano, head to Blueberry Academy, get my uniform, and begin working on my living decks. I've caught everything possible in the terrarium and the 4 new Area 0 Pokemon, which we'll discuss later, and that's pretty much all I've done so far. But that doesn't mean we don't have plenty to talk about, first of which being the Pokedex itself. There's just something about the new Pokedex in these DLCs that don't sit right with me. Perhaps it's the fact that the starters are at the end of the decks, or perhaps it's the fact that these Area 0 Pokemon, who aren't even supposed to exist, show up in Blueberry's Pokedex for some reason. Game Freak used to take such good care and consideration for these Pokedexes, but it seems as though that's been thrown out the window in recent years, especially with the DLCs. The 4 Pokemon that are caught in Area 0 should not be added to Blueberry's Pokedex, or at the very least, they shouldn't be automatically added to the decks. This DLC is full of side quests, so why not have Parent or Serrano or Penny update your Paldea decks to include these new paradoxes? I don't know, maybe that's just me being nitpicky. I also felt like the Ultra Beasts should not have had automatic dex entries in Alola, but that's Pokemon for you. Next thing I want to talk about, and I hate that I keep having to mention this, is performance. It's obvious that the programmers went through a ton of effort to add new overworld spawns to this DLC than what was in the base game or even the Teal Mask. The first thing I noticed when running around the Savannah biome was what looked to be 20 or 25 individual Pokemon. That's really impressive, if the game didn't slow down to a crawl when they were all on screen. This is a sentiment I shared way back in Vanilla Scarlet and Violet. The amount of moving parts on screen should be limited to what the Switch can handle. I've been playing on a docked OLED for the last few days, and it sometimes still struggles heavily to keep up with what's on screen. I honestly can't imagine what these biomes look like on a Day 1 2016 Switch. As a matter of fact, let's talk about biomes for a moment, because I both love and hate the biomes. Well, hate is a strong word, but you know what I mean. I love that they took the time to explain away having 4 wildly different biomes in a small enclosed area, but it just looks so jarring when you're actually in the world. For example, there's a male pyrostatic encounter on top of what looks to be Pride Rock from the Lion King in the Savannah biome, which is a really great reference. Unfortunately, when you get to the top of Pride Rock, you can see a snow-covered mountain extremely close by. And while yes, like I said, it was explained in the game, it just feels so odd. Dusty Gogo said it best on a recent episode of Hidden Power Podcast when he said that it looks like a safari zone, which is exactly what I think it was meant to look like. It's a really cool concept, but a bit jarring to look at in practice. I almost wish the rainbow glass barriers were full walls that blocked you from seeing the other side of the biomes until you got really close to them. Again, feel free to disagree, but that's just my opinion. Next thing I want to mention is legendaries. One of the biggest things I was excited about in this DLC was the hope that, like in Ultra Space in Generation 7 and Dynamax Adventures in Gen 8, that we were to be able to shiny hunt legendaries in Generation 9, specifically Glastrier, Inspectrier, and Cubfu. Unfortunately, the legendaries and the new paradoxes are all still shiny locked for some reason. The last thing I'm going to talk about today, because again, I have not played the story yet, are the new Pokemon designs. There were 8 new Pokemon added in this DLC. Raging Bolt and Iron Crown, which were revealed a while ago, Terrapagos, which we have a number of different forms for, the Mythical, which we've been referring to as Dokutaro this entire time, but whose name is actually Pecharunt, who is not available to catch, Archaludon and Hydrapple, and finally Gouging Fire and Iron Boulder, the Entei and Terrakion paradoxes respectively. We've known about most of these for a while, so I'm going to focus on the ones that we just saw for the first time this week. First off, Hydrapple is easily the best thing about this entire DLC so far. Every time we get a batch of new Pokemon, you can always tell which ones the designers poured all their creativity into and which ones were phoned in. Hydrapple is a clear example of a Pokemon with an inspired design. It's creative, it's sleek, and it looks like a monster. Hydrapple is easily one of the top 3 Generation 9 Pokemon designs. And then there's the rest. Iron Boulder is no surprise. It follows the same lazy design as all future paradoxes. Pretty much all the fan art out there predicted what this guy would look like. I'm not going to talk about Terrapagos' forms or the crown yet because I haven't seen them in game yet personally. So that just leaves this ugly monstrosity. Gouging Fire is, in my opinion, the ugliest design for a Pokemon I have ever seen. It's literally the exact opposite of a glow up. There's not a single angle from which this thing looks good. Entei isn't the most well-designed Pokemon out there, but it didn't deserve this. It just looks so awkward and I hate it so much. Again, I haven't played through any of the story, so hopefully my opinion will change by the end of the week, but honestly, the only good thing I've got from my experience in Blueberry so far has been Raging Bolt and Hydrapple. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Let me know in the comments what you think about the DLC and the new Pokemon. If you want to leave your own review in the comments, I would ask that you not mention any story spoilers until at least December 23rd. If you want to discuss the story, we actually have a spoiler channel on our Discord, so go check that out. Oh, and if you enjoyed my video of Atsuko and I taking on every Elite Four in the Pokemon world a couple of months ago, you'll be happy to know that Atsuko and I are at it again. We're actually going to be taking on the Blueberry Academy Elite Four next week in Pokemon Violet. As a matter of fact, Atsuko and I are going to do a solo run through Blueberry Elite Four this Tuesday, and we'll be doing it live. So you guys are welcome to come join us. The reason I said solo is because this Elite Four requires dual battles, so I'll be bringing a level 1 Magikarp as Atsuko's partner. If after finishing the story I feel like there's enough to warrant a full in-depth review, I'll be doing another review next week. If not, then I'll likely bring a brand new theory to you guys about Terrapagos. I hope you guys have an awesome week and I can't wait to see you on Tuesday. Peace.